यमुनतिरावनचारी
यशोदनन्दना
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Shri Ram Sankirtan ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, The Activities of King Bharata, Shloka number 6. So I'll read the shloka and after that we'll chant the word to word of the shloka. Samprachat Sampracharath Sharatsu Nana Yagyeshu Vicharitanga Kriyeshva Apurvam Yat Tat Kriya Phalam Dharmakyam Pare Brahmani Yajna Purushe Sarva Devata Linganam Mantranam Atra Niyam Niyama Kataya Sakshat Kartari Para Devatayam Bhagavati Vasudeva Eva Bhavyamana Atma Naipunya Mridita Kashayo Havishva Advaryuvir Grahyamaneshu Sa Yajamano Yajna Bhajo Devam Sthan Purusha Vayasveshu Abhyadayat. Okay. The word to word meaning Sam Samracharatsu, when beginning to perform Nana Yagneshu, various kinds of sacrifice, Virachita Anga Kriyeshu, in which the supplementary rites were performed, Apurvam, remote, Yat, whatever, Tat, that, Kriyaphalam, the result of such sacrifice, Dharma Akyam, by the name of religion, Pare, unto the transcendence, Brahmani, the Supreme Lord, Yajna Purushe, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, Sarva Devata Linganam, which manifest all the demigods, Mantranam, of the Vedic hymns, Artha Niyama Kataya, due to being the controller of the objects, Sakshat Kartari, directly the performer, Paradevatayam, the origin of all demigods, Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeve, unto Krishna, Eva, certainly, Bhavyamanaha, always thinking, Atma Naipunya Mridita Kshayaha, Kashayaha, freed from all lust and anger by his expertise in such thinking. Havikshu, the ingredients to be offered in the sacrifice. Advaryubihi, when the priests expert in the sacrifices mentioned in the Atharva Veda. Grihyamaneshu, taking, Saha, Maharaj Bharata, Yajamanaha, the sacrificer, Yajna Bhajaha, the recipient of the results of sacrifice, Devan, all demigods, Tan, them, Purusha Avayaveshu, as different parts and limbs of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda. Abhyadhayat, he thought. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation: after performing the preliminaries of various sacrifices, Maharaj Bharata offered the results in the name of religion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. In other words, he performed all the yajnas for the satisfaction of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Maharaj Bharata thought that since the demigods were different parts of Vasudeva's body, he, uh, he controls those who are explained in the Vedic mantras. By thinking in this way, Maharaj Bharata was freed from all material contamination, such as attachment, lust, and greed. When the priests were about to offer the sacrificial ingredients into the fire, Maharaj Bharata expertly understood how the offering made to different demigods was simply an offering to different limbs of the Lord. For instance, Indra is the arm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Surya, the sun, is his eye. Thus, Maharaj Bharata considered that the oblations offered to different demigods were actually offered unto the different limbs of Vasudeva. Purport is quite long, so we will offer the Mangala Charan and then we will study the purport. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here in this purport, there is or in the shloka, there is a ironical thing that is there. So generally, pure devotees of the Lord, so they don't worship the different Devi Devatas. So, but here Maharaj Bharata is a great devotee of the Lord, but he is engaged in offering sacrifices to various Devi Devatas. And it is mentioned that in this way he was pleasing the Supreme Lord, and also he was getting free from attachment, lust, and greed. And so, how is it happening? So, like generally, Krishna is also mentioning that no worship of demigods is like avidhi purvakam, or it is not according to the proper rules. And then he also mentions that kama estester hritajnana prapadyantya devata. So one who is very much attached to the material sense gratification, so they worship the demigods. So but here we see a pure devotee of the Lord, so he is worshipping, or he is making elaborate sacrifices for the demigods. So here it is mentioned that how these Devi Devatas are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. So understanding that if somebody offers sacrifice to them, and then understanding that ultimate beneficiary is the Supreme Lord, so then it is still pleasing to the Supreme Lord. So now it is um, it is a very important principle that the real purification of any activity comes from connection with Krishna. So if somebody is offering some activity or doing some activity, and if he is able to see its connection with Krishna, and see that he is doing it according to the scriptural rules and regulations, so then he will get the purification and the benefit of that particular activity. So the real contamination or the real problem that comes is when we lose the focus with Krishna. So that is a real problem, that is there. So here, Maharaj Bharata, so though he was performing all these various sacrifices, he was perfectly understanding that I am offering sacrifice only to the Lord. Later in the purport, there is, it is, Prabhupada gives an example of if somebody massages somebody's leg, so it is not that he is serving the leg, he's serving the person, like that. So in that way, like if he has the understanding, so then it is proper. Mm. So in morning I was hearing on proper class where he was mentioning that like people, they go to God, worship God, for what purpose? So I'll worship you so that you take care of my material needs nicely. So for that they go. So that means it is not the proper attitude. So for material needs, when we go, so then still we are not, even if we go to Krishna, okay, like going to Krishna is a very big thing. So like not generally people don't go to Krishna. So if somehow or other people go to Krishna, so that's a very big thing. But still to connect with Krishna means like there is a particular this one that is needed. It is just like, you know, if uh, if 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 a person is there, like he wants to have a this one job, no engagement with a particular company, and if he, you know, he is allowed to go inside the company, he is allowed to go to the reception, he is allowed to go to different places in the company and things like that. But until unless he is, you know, given an offer letter and he is made, okay, you are an employee, there is no connection. You can go inside the company and come out, but you know, that doesn't mean anything actually. So in the same way, no, we can go in front of the Lord, we can go to the temple, we can, no, like we can interact with the Lord, but then until unless, no, our connection as a servant to the Lord is established, actually there is no connection, you know. So that is how, like really, if you want to make advancement, so Krishna is the one who is going to purify us and who's going to give us, like make us advanced. But in that also, you know, meeting with Krishna, how do we meet with Krishna? Hearing Bhagavatam, no, chanting the holy names, and no, doing service to the Lord, and doing preaching activities, and all these things are there. So but all these things are interaction with Krishna. But until unless we develop the mood of servitude, so we will not be able to connect with Krishna. Until unless we connect with Krishna, we cannot become purified and make advancement. So this is the crux of this one. So connection with Krishna is very essential. So here now we see that something that Krishna tells that it is, no, not at all good, no, the worship of the Devi Devatas. Even in that, you know, if connection with Krishna is seen, so then it is purifying, you know. So not just direct devotional service. On the contrary, even the direct devotional service as Shravanam Kirtanam, if we are not in the mood of service, so if we are not in the connection with Krishna, so then like even the direct devotional services will not give any result. No, even indirect devotional service is giving result. So when the strong connection with Krishna is felt, no, that is a key aspect actually, strong connection with Krishna. So now we'll study the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says that as long as one does not develop pure devotional service of Shravanam, Kirtanam, no hearing and chanting, one must carry out the prescribed duties. So until unless one gets nice connection with Shravanam, Kirtanam, so he is able to relish, Shravanam and Kirtanam. So till then, he should do his prescribed duties. Even like Prabhupada also used to mention that. So if you can simply chant, and be absorbed, so then so much of problem is solved. So otherwise we have to break our head to create so many services so that you can be engaged. So the point of all these things is what? Finally we should develop some taste for Shravanam and Kirtanam. So that's very nicely Prabhupada is putting it here. So I'll just read it again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says that as long as one does not develop pure devotional service of Shravanam and Kirtanam, that is hearing and chanting, one must carry out his prescribed duties. Since Bharat Maharaj was a great devotee, one may ask why he performed so many sacrifices that are actually meant for karmis. So these sacrifices, the worship of the Devi Devatas, are meant for like somebody who is desiring for some material benefit. Why did a pure devotee do all these things? No, he should have not done this. The fact is that he was simply following the order of Vasudev. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. So whatever we do, we should constantly remember Vasudev. People are generally addicted to offering obeisances to various demigods, but Bharat Maharaj simply wanted to please Lord Vasudev. So like the normal people, so they do all these sacrifices for getting some benefit, long life or lot of money and lot of this one, the various material things that they may be aspiring for. So but Bharat Maharaj was not aspiring for all those things. Even in performing the sacrifices to the Devi Devatas, he was only thinking that I am worshipping the Supreme Lord, I am not worshipping anyone else. That is very important. Then as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So Bhokta means like he is the enjoyer. So Bharat Maharaj was very clear that Krishna is the enjoyer of all these sacrifices. Even technically speaking, if you perform any yajna meant for satisfaction of any particular Devi Devata, So the Yajna Purusha, Vishnu is first invoked, and then oblations are offered to Vishnu, and the Vishnu Prasad is offered to that particular. See that the aspect of like oh, charge. So here we see that the like the example that we were describing, that different parts of the body. So if somebody massages the leg of a person, it is not that he is serving the leg only, he is serving the person actually. So in the same way, like Prabhupada is mentioning, whether somebody may perform different rituals to for demigod worship, or he may directly worship the Supreme Lord. If the ultimate goal is to please only the Supreme Lord, so then there is no problem. No, then there is like no, he is properly situated. So if the ultimate goal is no anything else apart from pleasing the Supreme Lord, or not exclusively pleasing the Supreme Lord, so then it becomes contaminated. So then the goal of desired purification may not happen, of the heart. So here demigod worship is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, but actually the shlokas advocate worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda. For instance, worship of Goddess Durga is mentioned in this way in Brahma Samhita. Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Icchan Rupam Api Yasya Cheshtate Sa Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So here we see that Shrishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Rekha. So like who is Durga? No, she is Shrishti, Sthiti and Pralaya. No, so like all the creation, maintenance and destruction, no, she helps the Lord in doing that. And Chayeva Yashya, Bhuvanani, Vibharti Durga. So like she functions like a Chaya, means shadow of the Supreme Lord, right? So and then Icha Anurupam Api Yasya Cheshtatesa. So like no, she performs like she literally controls and manages the whole of the material world, and then like she functions according to the desire of Govinda, Icha Anurupam, no api yasya cheshtate sa. So like she assists the Lord in the creation, maintenance, destruction, and then she functions as a shadow of the Supreme Lord, and she works according to the desire of the Supreme Lord, and that Supreme Lord I worship. No, like that, no, Brahmaji is actually praying. So he is describing all the qualities of the demigod, but then he is finally praying. So that demigod who is connected to the Supreme Lord, and that Supreme Lord I am worshipping. So like that. So following the orders of Sri Krishna, the goddess Durga creates, maintains, and annihilates. Sri Krishna also confirms the statement in Bhagavad Gita, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam. So, like under my adakshata, so like this prakriti is functioning. So, under my direction, this prakriti is functioning. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. So, we should worship the demigods in that spirit. Because the goddess Durga satisfies Krishna, we should therefore offer respects to goddess Durga. So, because Lord Shiva is nothing but Krishna's functional body, we should therefore offer respects to Lord Shiva. So, there is one of the offenses to the holy name is that not giving proper respect to the demigods. No, like the demigods equaling, like you make equal to the Supreme Lord, so that is also an offense. And then you disregard them, and then you don't give proper respect to them, that is also an offense. No, so you cannot give a manager position of a CEO, and you cannot give manager a position of ordinary employee also. Manager should be respected like a manager, है ना? So उसको ऊपर भी नहीं चढ़ा सकते, नीचे भी गिरा नहीं सकते, है ना? मैनेजर को सीईओ बोलेंगे तभी ना आपको डांट पड़ेगा, मैनेजर को लाइक नो ये तो आम आदमी समझेंगे तभी भी डांट पड़ेगा. So it is not right, है ना? So मैनेजर को मैनेजर जैसा respect देना है. So like that here we see that. So understanding their position, so we should give them the respect. Similarly, we should offer respects to Brahma, Agni and Surya. There are many offerings to different demigods, and one should always remember that these offerings are usually meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bharat Maharaj did not aspire to receive some benediction from demigods. No, this is very key thing. If he aspires for some benediction, some material benefit, then the whole yajna, the same process, the process is not different. The same process gives a different result. No, if he wants to simply please the Supreme Lord, the same process gives different result actually. So now everybody are chanting, everybody are attending Mangalarti, everybody are hearing Bhagavatam, but everybody get different results. No, not everybody gets the same result. Somebody is making very much advancement, somebody is not making much advancement. So what is the thing behind? If somebody does the activity thinking that this I am doing for pleasure of Krishna, no, this I am doing for pleasure of my spiritual master. So when he thinks in that way and does the activity, he gets maximum benefit. And somebody is like thinking, "Arey, like karna hai, like no, kuch to karke nikalenge." So then he will not get much benefit. No, thoda sa benefit milega. And somebody is thinking, "I'll do this and I'll get material benefit." No, so then he'll get that only. Like he'll not get purification of heart. Rather, he will get contamination of heart actually. So in this way, like the desire. The activity in itself is one thing, and the desire to perform the activity is the another thing. So that actually determines the mileage. It's just like two people are driving the car. Like how much accelerator is given, that much the car will go forward. So just because the same kind of car, same kind of environment, so the car will go in the same speed. So it depends on the accelerator that is given. So in the same way, it depends on the accelerator. It depends on the desire to please the Lord. So that determines how much we are going to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. So the Supreme Lord is performer of everything. Sorry, like so his aim was to please the Supreme Lord. In Mahabharata, among the thousands of names of Vishnu, it is said Yajna Bhuk, Yajna Krit, and Yajnaha. So it's like the three names of the Lord is mentioned. Yajna Bhuk means like one who is the enjoyer of the yajna. Yajna Krit means one who is the performer of yajna, and Yajnaha means the yajna itself. So the three things: the enjoyer of yajna, the performer of yajna, and yajna itself are the Supreme Lord. So like this is even in Bhagavad Gita also it is there. What is that? Like Brahmaiva Tena Gantavya. So that sloka I am not remembering. So like there it is. Now the Lord, the Supreme Brahman is the yajna, is the ingredients of the yajna. Brahma, no, Brahma. Brahma Havihi, yeah, so something. That is last line, Brahma Hivtena Kantavya. Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmagna Brahmana Hutam, Brahma Ivatena Kantavyam, Brahma Karma Sumavajam. So it's like it is the performer of the yajna is also this one, like what is it? The performer is the living entity is performing. So but then who is that living entity? He is part and parcel of Krishna. And then the ingredients, that is God. So that is also energy of Krishna, this material energy of Krishna. And yajna himself is Krishna. And if you offer that, so that is like Krishna is offered into Krishna. So like that. So his yajna book is like the enjoyer of yajna is Krishna, the performer of yajna is also Krishna, the yajna itself is also Krishna. Right? So the Supreme Lord is the performer of everything. But out of ignorance, the living entity thinks that he is the actor. So this is like, what is the shloka? Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So like out of ignorance only a person thinks I am doing things, but actually we can only desire, the living entity can only desire. So this material body is made of material nature and material nature controls it. When like I want to lift the hand, so material nature has to give sanction, then only the Lord has to give sanction and the material nature has to execute. We can only desire. So now, like when we lift the hand, we think, oh, I have lifted the hand. So, but actually, like the material nature has lifted the hand, So, and I just desire to lift the hand. And one day will come when I desire to lift the hand and hand will not rise. So that is called old age, or at the time of paralysis or something like that. No, I have desire, but material Lord is not given sanction and material nature is not moving. So that's technically called paralysis. So that time, like we see that all this while I was thinking I am lifting the hand, and now I am trying to lift the hand. Hand is not lifting. So like that. So in this way, like the yajna is also performed by the Supreme Lord. But then a performer, if he wrongly thinks that I am doing it, so then it becomes it is out of ignorance. So as long as we think we are actors, we bring about karma bandha, like bondage of the fruitive activity. If we act for yajna, for Krishna, there is no karma bandhana. So yajnatat karmano lokoyam anyatra karma bandhana. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to material world. So like one has to like desire for pleasing the Supreme Lord. And when we desire, the Lord will empower. Like if I want to do a small service also, like even jadu karna hai, like temple ka, तो उसके लिए भी हाथ में ताकत भगवान ने देता है. So like Lord will give this one. And we should understand, okay, I am able to do this service by the mercy of the Lord. So I should think for the Lord, and when I am doing the service, I should give credit to the Lord, saying because of His mercy I am able to do this service. So then there is no karma that actually binds a person. Otherwise, he will be bound by karma bandhana. So, following the instructions of Bharat Maharaj, we should act not for our personal satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita 17:28, it is stated, Ashraddhaya hutam dattam tapas taptam kritam chayat asad iti uchyate partha nachatat pretya no iha. So this is like very nice shloka. Ashraddhaya hutam dattam. Like if tapas taptam kritam chayat. So one who is not having faith, but he is performing yajna. What will be the result of that? So like we don't have so much of consciousness involved in our our sadhana, chanting and stuffs like that. So then what is the benefit of that? So here Krishna is telling, sacrifices, austerities and charities performed without faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead are non-permanent, asat. So like asad iti uchyate partha. So like it is mentioned as asad. It doesn't have long standing benefit. So the real benefit of our sadhana we will get when we have faith in Krishna and when we perform for the satisfaction of Krishna. Otherwise the sadhana becomes like it reduces in its power. Regardless of whatever rituals are performed, they are called asat, non-permanent. They are therefore useless both in this life and in the next. So kings like Maharaj Ambrish and other Raj Rishis who were pure devotees of the Lord simply passed their time in service of the Supreme Lord. When a pure devotee executes some service through the agency of another person, he should not be criticized, for his activities are meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. A devotee may have a priest perform some karma kanda, and the priest may not be a pure Vaishnava, but because the devotee wants to please the Supreme Lord, he should not be criticized. So a karma kanda priest is used, like, and then he is performing. A devotee is engaging him in trying to offer some oblations to some, like, trying to please some or some demigod yajna is performed. But then the devotee engaging him is thinking of pleasing the Supreme Lord. So then he is not to be considered like there is no fault in him, right? So the word apurva is very significant. The resultant action of karma called apurva, when we act piously or impiously, immediate results do not ensue. So apurva means like it's remote. No, that's what the translation, word to word translation, it is mentioned. Purva means what? Purva kal? Past. No, apurva means not in the past, in future sometime it will come. Right? So it is that future sometime it will come. So our actions, what we are performing, we will not get immediate result. No, we will get result sometime in the late in the future, right? So that is why it is called apurva. So the resultant actions of karma are called apurva. So when we act piously or impiously, immediate result do not ensue. No, we therefore wait for the result, which is called apurva. The results are manifest in the future. Even the smartas accept this apurva. Pure devotees simply act for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the results of their activities are spiritual or permanent. So, like these spiritual activities, so they are not asat, they are sat. Because spiritual activity means like an activity which is approved by the scriptures. And then it is performed for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord with a mood of service attitude. So if this is performed, then the result is sat. Then result becomes permanent. So, but ashraddhaya hutam dattam, like if without faith, in the process, without faith in the Lord, just a matter of duty, somebody has told, like, no, kar denge, like, nahi to Bhagwan naraz ho gaya, to like problem ho jayega. So then it becomes asat, impermanent. You will not get spiritual benefit out of it, like that. So pure devotees simply act for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the results of their activities are spiritual or permanent. So they are not like those of karmis, which are non-permanent. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Kata sangasya muktasya jnana avastita chetasah yajnaya charata karma samaghram praviliyate. So the work of a man who is unattached to modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. So a devotee is always free from material contamination. He is fully situated in knowledge, and therefore his sacrifices are intended for satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like free from material contamination, being situated in the knowledge. Knowledge means possession of Krishna, possession of ourselves, and being engaged in service of the Lord. That is called knowledge. And therefore, like if a person has faith in the Lord, faith in the process, and with the knowledge that I am part and parcel of the Lord and I am meant to serve the Lord. So with that knowledge, when he performs an activity for the pleasure of the Lord, so then it becomes a perfect combination. It gives nice result. So it's like some machinery is there. So like if it has to give result, like many parameters have to be adjusted. If all the parameters are adjusted, then proper result comes. एक भी parameter गड़बड़ हो गया तो result will not come properly. So in the same way, this is also a science. Devotional service is a science. Faith in the Lord is needed, and then understanding the process is needed, and then with knowledge, that is knowledge of who is Supreme Lord, who am I, and my relationship with the Lord is servant, and being in the mood of service. So with that, like when we perform the activity, so then the result comes. If faith is not there, so then the result doesn't come. If the knowledge is not there, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I am his servant, so then also result doesn't come. Like, just simply by following the process, the result doesn't come so much. So the faith, knowledge, and the process, all these things should be properly situated. So then the result actually comes, in the process of Krishna consciousness. So with this, I pause today's discussion. Any questions or comments you can take? Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Yeah, he will get some result in terms of developing the faith. So first, when we indulge in the process of Krishna consciousness, like the chanting or hearing and things like that, the first faith will develop. And with the faith, when we perform, then gradually knowledge will develop. With faith and knowledge, when we perform, then further advancement will come. you know so first, that is why Shraddha is the first step in the pure devotional service. Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Vachana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. So when Anartha Nivritti is finished, then comes the real knowledge. So when with faith and knowledge when we perform, then the process becomes very, very fast. Very fast. So like initial indulgence in this one is it will give a little bit of faith. So when we got the faith, so then after that, still like if we don't follow the process very nicely, or if we don't try to develop the faith more better, so then the process will not give further results. It is just like if you just do little bit of ABCD and things like that, you can pass LKG. But the same thing cannot make you pass in the first standard. You have to do something more. And what you can do in the first standard, the same thing cannot make you pass in the second standard. You have to do something more, like that. So now, for the devotees who are practicing, already they have got little faith, and they have got, now they are supposed to strengthen the faith and develop the knowledge. Knowledge will come when the anarthas are removed. So anarthas are the anti-knowledge. So like opposite to the knowledge. And when the anarthas are removed by the proper sincere practice of chanting, so then the knowledge arises, in the heart. Sometimes people think, oh, knowledge means like one who studied Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, all the books he has studied and he's memorized a lot of sloka is knowledgeable. And that is not knowledge. One who chants nicely and then who wants to like understand the Lord nicely, so then Lord will bestow knowledge upon him. So then the clarity of who the Lord is, who the living entity is, and what is my relation with the Lord. So this clarity emerges, that is called knowledge. That is, he is knowledgeable person. Like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he is knowledgeable person. He doesn't even know how to read and write. No, but he is the highest knowledgeable person. Whatever he speaks in relation to Krishna, so it's all full knowledge. Like it can be written down and it can be, made into scripture also. So like that. So that is knowledge. Knowledge means to understand this one. So we have, first of all, we have to serve the devotees, who have faith and knowledge, and then when we render service to them, Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishavanat, right? So when we serve, then initial faith actually comes. Then invest the faith in the process of hearing and chanting. Shanmatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanam. So that 1 to 16 onwards, it's a very, very nice, this one, like technical progression of devotional service is nicely explained. Like Sushruto Shraddha Danasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra. So when we render service to the pure devotees of the Lord, we get faith, and that faith should be invested back into the process by the way of Shravanam and Kirtanam. And when we regularly do Shravanam Kirtanam, investing the faith, so then Anartha Nivritti happens. When Anartha Nivritti happens, knowledge starts to come. And with faith and knowledge, when we perform, the further purification actually happens. So initial faith is there. That's how they are able to come and listen to the class. No? So initial faith is there. And now they have to invest on Shravanam. So they have to regularly come to the programs, they have to invest on Shravanam, and they have to do some physical service. If they do some physical service and if they engage in that faith, then faith will solidify. So when the faith solidifies, then by the practice should increase, bhajana kriya should increase. They should increase the number of rounds, they should read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they should try to attend the morning program and things like that. So when they invest in that way, so then the anartha nivritti happens. Service and the bhajana kriya. So both the things they do that, then anartha nivritti happens, then the knowledge comes. Mm-hmm.
At the same time, he is worshipping the demigods. The same things we can apply in this Kali Yuga.
So here he was, actually we should see the context also. The context is in the Vedic system, the Varnashram was very much prevalent. So Varnashram was very much prevalent and everybody were fitted into the Varnashram system. And there were pure devotees, there were mixed devotees, and mixed devotees they were going to this one, they were going to demigods. And here Bharat Maharaj is setting a proper example. Even if you worship demigods, so you should aim to please the Supreme Lord. And if the demigod worship is removed, so then what happens? The mass of the people will become irreligious. So that is a religious function that everybody is doing. If the king doesn't perform, so then the mass of the people no, king is not performing anything, so let us also not do anything. So then it becomes degraded. And if king is only performing Shravanam Kirtanam, so then what happens? The common people cannot connect with Shravanam and Kirtanam so nicely. So this is explained nicely in the Prithu Maharaj pastime and in the other pastimes of the kings, where it is described. So kings generally perform this Karmakanda Yagyas just so that they can inspire the people who are not pure devotees, who are attached so much to material things and who cannot take up to Shravanam Kirtanam so easily. So for them, okay, let you do these things. And now in the Kali Yuga, people are not going to demigods, people are going to the company bosses and they render service to them and they try to get salary. That's the demigod worship that is happening now. So and we tell that okay, you work for your boss, but act in Krishna consciousness. Use the result of that in Krishna's service. So here also we are telling the same thing. Here demigod worship is happening in different way. Right? So no, we don't need to introduce something new. Already log chhod chuke hai usko, na chhod do. Directly we can utilize. So now many other aspects, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Guru Parampara and Srila Prabhupada, so we have got many wonderful activities. Now we have big time festivals and big time, now Rath Yatra is coming and then Janmashtami will come and then many different activities are there. So we can connect people who doesn't have interest in Shravanam Kirtana, so they can be connected in this way. You can do some service for Rath Yatra, you can do some service for Janmashtami. So by engaging in service, then they will gain faith. When they get faith, then they will get taste for hearing. And when they properly hear and render service, they will get knowledge. Anarthas will reduce and knowledge will rise. And then they will make further progress. So like that. So now we don't need to introduce this system. But when Varnashram is established, so that time we may have to introduce certain aspects of these things. Proper Varnashram is introduced, then we may have to introduce certain aspects of this. Taking from Srimad Bhagavatam.
Same time, just from my side, I am just visiting this South India just now. I don't know what God is inside. So in that case, what is our duty? Inside what God is or what they are doing something and that visiting and so on. I don't know what is there inside. What is our
Just whoever it may be, they are servants of the Supreme Lord. So we can pray that you bless me that I also become a nice servant of the Supreme Lord. That's all. Krishna has unlimited departments and there are so many department heads are there. कौन सा department head क्या करने वाला है हमको क्या पता. So anyways, you are a department head and you are doing some nice service to Krishna. I am not able to do some nice service to Krishna. Please give me some good service attitude to Krishna. You know? So like that we can pray. You know.
Guruji, like you spoke that we are doing this surveys just to chant the
Hmm.
holy name. So chanting the holy name is also a service.
Yeah.
Then
Service of a higher grade.
higher grade.
Hmm.
So at last, what should be like our motive, like in serving God in His abode
Hmm.
or wherever. I think.
See, if the attraction for the names of the Lord is nice, so then all the service that we are doing, we can understand that it is pleasing the Supreme Lord. No, all the activities that we are doing, it is pleasing to the Supreme Lord. Otherwise also it is pleasing, but it is not that much pleasing. If we are developing taste in the chanting, that means if Krishna is awarding that, so that means no, Krishna is really pleased with us. No, very, very much pleased with us. Well, like that. So that's a sign that we can actually see. Yes, Prabhu.
As we have seen that Bharat Maharaj is doing sacrifices for the demigods and he is worshipping the demigods by doing yags. So in his mind is clear that I am doing this action for the not for the demigods, but it will ultimately please the
Supreme
Supreme
Lord.
Lord Krishna. But in modern world, like in materialistic world, there are some action that we do to please ourselves for our self gratification. Like I am doing some hills and I am doing paragliding. So these actions ultimately will not lead to the please to the Supreme Lord. So should we do that actions or not?
So it is to be like if attachment is too strong, so then we have to see that by indulgence in bhakti, slowly, gradually, our attachment to that will reduce. So like if a person is very sincere, he wants to advance in spiritual path, so then he may have to reduce those things. It is not going to help him. This one. So it is like when we perform spiritual activities, it is like lighting fire on a dry wood. So and then like when we perform activities which are meant to please our senses, that is like pouring water on the wood. So then the lighting process will take time. तो wood gila हो रहा है, then उसके बाद we are trying to light fire on the wood, so fire will not catch. So then when we keep the senses dry, and when we try to take pleasure in the devotional activities, so then the fire catches up much faster.
So I'm doing some action and I can dedicate that action to Supreme Lord Krishna, then only I should do that action. If
Yeah.
I'm not able to dedicate that action.
The action should be sanctioned by the scriptures. Any action that is performed, so that should be sanctioned by the scriptures and performed for the pleasure of the Lord and understanding that I am part and parcel of the Lord and servant of the Lord. So then it has the best benefit. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।